The courtroom smelled like cold coffee and arrogance. Officer Chade Walters sat at the defense table, legs stretched like he owned the floor. His lawyer whispered something about keeping quiet, but Chade waved him off. Relax, he muttered. These people love a man in uniform. The smirk on his face carried years of unchecked power, the kind only a man who'd gotten away with too much could wear. He'd been accused of slamming a black teenager into a patrol car for asking a question. Why are you stopping me? And somehow made himself the victim on camera. The system had cleaned up worse for him before. In the back, the teenager's mother dabbed her eyes. Chade didn't notice. He was too busy adjusting his tie, telling a bailiff, "You see? They cry, we defend. Circle of life." The man laughed nervously. Everyone knew better than to correct him. Then the doors opened. Heels clicked against marble. Every head turned. A woman entered. Black, graceful, calm, eyes sharp enough to cut marble. She wore a plain black suit, no jewelry, no smile. Chade's smirk widened. "What's this?" he whispered. "Another protester?" The judge looked up, intrigued. "Miss Dawson, please take your seat." Chade blinked. Dawson? That name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. He just laughed softly. "Let me guess," he murmured. "Another one here to teach me manners." If only he knew. If you're already feeling the tension, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because this story is only warming up. Chade lounged back in his chair like the courtroom was his living room. Every time the judge spoke, he rolled his eyes and whispered jokes to the bailiff. "Look at that," he said, smirking toward the front row where Emily Dawson sat quietly, legs crossed, back straight. "She's got that protest face. You know the one. We demand justice." He mimicked a fist in the air, and his buddies behind him chuckled. Emily didn't even glance his way. She sat calm, controlled, the kind of stillness that made other people nervous. When the clerk called her name, the judge raised an eyebrow. "Miss Dawson, you may proceed." She stood, adjusted her jacket, and began to walk toward the front. Chade leaned toward his lawyer. "Here we go," he muttered. "Another sob story about feelings and fairness." Then louder, "Sit down, lady. This is a courtroom, not a therapy circle." Nobody laughed that time. The silence was sharp. The judge gave him a warning look, but Chade only smirked. "What? I'm being honest." Emily kept walking. Her heels clicked like a countdown. "You deaf?" he barked. "I said sit." He shot up, anger flashing, and his foot lashed out before his brain caught up. His boot struck her leg. The sound cracked through the courtroom. Gasps filled the air. The judge's gavel slammed. Cameras flashed. Emily stumbled but didn't fall. She steadied herself, slow, deliberate. Then she lifted her head, and the look in her eyes wiped the grin right off his face. If you're enjoying this chaos, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, it's about to explode. The air in the courtroom went dead still. Even the fluorescent lights seemed to hum quieter. Chade's face flushed red, the kind of red that only comes from sudden, public stupidity. Reporters froze mid-photo, the judge's mouth hung open, and someone in the back whispered, "He kicked her?" Emily straightened slowly, one hand still on the table for balance. She didn't shout. She didn't curse. She just looked at him. Calm, cold, and terrifyingly unbothered. The kind of calm that makes bullies feel small. Chade tried to recover. "Hey, that was an accident," he said quickly, glancing at the cameras. "She was in my way." But Emily's silence strangled his words. She took one step forward, then another, heels tapping like a drum roll. Chade took a step back without realizing it. Then she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out something small and metallic. She placed it on the judge's table with a soft click. The silver badge gleamed under the lights. Every reporter leaned in. "Chief Emily Dawson," she said evenly. "Sworn in at 9:12 this morning." The room erupted. Gasps, cameras, whispers. The judge's gavel hammered, but it didn't matter anymore. Chade's face turned ghost white. You're joking, right?" he stammered. "You can't be." Emily cut him off, her voice low and deadly calm. "You're right, Officer Walters, that I can't be what you think I am. I'm what you never expected." He finally understood, and that understanding burned worse than any punishment. If you're hooked right now, don't just sit there. Like and subscribe because this storm hasn't even hit yet. The courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters yelled questions, camera lights flickered like fireworks, and every eye turned toward the man who'd just kicked his new boss in front of the entire state. Chade Walters stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing like a goldfish gasping for air. The smirk that used to own every room had finally packed up and left. Officer Walters, the judge said slowly, trying not to sound amused, do you understand what you've just done? He swallowed hard. It was a misunderstanding. Emily raised a hand. Don't touch him, she told the bailiffs calmly. Let him listen. Then she turned to the judge. Your Honor, I'll be filing an additional charge, assaulting a sitting chief of police. The reporters lost it. Shutters clicked so fast it sounded like rain. Chade's lawyer slumped in his seat, whispering a prayer that probably arrived too late. His so-called friends in the back row pretended not to know him. By the end of the day, his badge was stripped. By nightfall, the clip had gone viral. The caption, When Karma Wears Heels. Millions watched the mighty Mr. Law and Order fall faster than a dropped gavel. Emily didn't smile. She didn't need to. Her silence was the verdict. Her calm, the sentence. As they let him out in cuffs, she whispered just loud enough for the cameras to catch, some lessons can't be taught, only lived. And that's how Officer Chade Walters, the man who kicked people to feel powerful, got kicked straight out of power. Viewers, if that justice hit deep, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to Splendid Tales, where real karma always finds its way home.